Chris, thank you so much for doing this podcast. I'm really excited to be speaking
My
with you.
pleasure, Aaron. Thank you.
I want to start off by maybe just in basic terms, because most of the audience won't necessarily be familiar. As the president of a university here at Robert Morris, what what do your responsibilities entail? I think we can speak broadly about leadership, but very tangibly, like what are you focused on? What are your goals? What does your kind of week to week life look like as the president of a university?
Well, you got a couple of questions in there, Aaron. They're all very, very good ones. So, what does a president of a university actually do?
Yeah.
Well, you're responsible for everything, but really have the power to do very little. You have to work through other people to get the mission accomplished. What are the missions that you need to accomplish? You need to make sure you're an ongoing financial concern. This is a $130 million enterprise with upward of 700, 750 people that work here between faculty and staff, 50,000 alumni, almost 5,000 students. It's a big enterprise. You got to make sure that you spend less than what you're bringing in terms of revenue, in terms of tuition, fundraising, other auxiliary enterprises, and that's the business of education on the one hand. On the other hand, you have a mission, which is to help young people, help people in general, not just young people, help people in general in many ways understand themselves and the world around them, whilst at the same time giving them deep domain skills as a university that focuses on the professions, accounting, engineering, education, nursing. So when you see people like actuarial scientists, Aaron, when you see people like that in the world, you're interacting with them, they need to have deep domain expertise in their respective enterprise. So we have to educate and train them as well. Your job feels in many ways like a CEO, like I said before, making sure that the bills are paid. But by the same token, you feel a little bit like a general or an admiral, because sometimes when things happen, you're kind of the commander of the ship. And also you feel very much like a governor or a pastor. Let me explain those. There are a lot of constituencies in a university, and the key is not to make sure the key is to make sure not all the constituencies are mad at you at the same time. This is easier said than done. But having said that, as I mentioned before, your alumni are a constituency. Your students are part of your constituency. Your parents are part of your constituency. So when I spend time with, whether it be Governor Wolf or Mayor Perduto or Allegheny County Executive Rich Fitzgerald, we have a lot in common as we try to understand what our constituencies need, and also recognize that those are at loggerheads at times. They bump into each other, and that's where leadership comes in, because you have to reconcile those things. Use your mission as a North Star to get us to where you need to go. In terms of vision for the enterprise for Robert Morris University, when I first came here, I felt that I observed after 3 years or so that Robert Morris is a place that is big enough to matter, yet small enough to care. Big enough to matter, yet small enough to care. So we are a university that's a national doctoral granting university with close to 5,000 people attending. So in many ways, when we break bread with, or I break bread with Pat Gallagher over at Pitt, or Farnham Jahanian over at at CMU, we can feel CMU or Pitt-esque because we're doing serious research. We just got a $1 million National Science Foundation grant, which is a big deal. We do things with Amazon, with cloud services. We're one of the cutting-edge universities in the country offering that to our students and to people that attend the institution. But then sometimes when I'm doing, when I go out in a couple of weeks to watch Battle of the Air Bands for Greek life, it feels a little bit more like a smaller, bucolic liberal arts school. As you and I look out across the landscape, it feels small and intimate, but it's big and mighty at the same time. So my vision is to make sure we're big enough to matter, yet small enough to care, and that we're student-centered, and that we're ensuring that we're touching these students' lives so they can be successful in their careers and in their lives.